Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube channel and the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel as well. We continue to be on the pathway to kind of reviewing all of the 1991 available WCW Saturday Night shows with Paul Heyman and AKA Paulie Dangerously and Jim Ross with the call this particular week. Z-Man Tom Zink out there in an enhancement match pretty early, and Tom Zink, of course, pretty basic guy in the WCW run. Short match that it is, drop kicks under the chin, arm bars, arm scissors, and the like. Zink also hits a crossbody from the top. Zink, a pretty intense guy at the time, and could have been done more with, but they didn't really do as much with him as they could have. Also, keep in mind this is the wonder that is kind of keeping things going, as it were, and kind of, you know, keeping everything, I guess, focused on in a positive direction there. And we continue kind of going in a direction that leads you where you want to go. Again, uh, Z-Man still kind of looking for Tom Zink pinning Rick Jones. Doug Gilbert with a crossbody off the top rope, 6:14 in the match. Ringside interview with Zink regarding him wanting a shot against the world champion Lex Luger. Luger at the time is a pretty intense guy. The enforcer's talking about taking care of whomever is in front of them as a team here. And then we go to the enhancement match that is the tag team champions who promise to get things under control here. Anderson and Zbyszko in an enhancement match. The enforcer is still trying to kind of rectify the Dustin Rhodes, Ricky Steamboat thing from a while ago. Also, the continuation of the Rhodes and Wyndham, I guess, issues that exist at the time or starting to exist at the time. Also, there, Arn Anderson manages to hit a power slam pretty aggressively, assertively at the time. Anderson sends his adversary back into the knee of his tag team partner. Zbyszko obviously keeps things slower. Abdominal stretch, basic maneuvers along the way. Zbyszko known for stalling at the time. To me, it's just good psychology. Arn Anderson manages to hit a spine buster, and then Zbyszko and Anderson get the win as your tag team champions. Cactus Jack up next. Cactus Jack brawling with enhancement talent on the arena floor. Unfortunately, this is a program where they didn't name most of the enhancement talents, as it were. Cactus still reeling off of his desire to go at it with Sting, among other people. Cactus, kind of sending his man into the buckle. Double arm DDT after the crack smash, and Cactus Jack in control of his own destiny a little bit here. Kind of running forward in a modified Bulldog in release form, still calling out Sting, and the apron dive elbow. Post that. Dustin Rhodes out next. Dustin Rhodes managing to get a match with Bob Cook. Couple of body slams, deep arm drag by Rhodes, and managing to keep his man down. Rhodes winning the enhancement match here with a Bulldog, and ultimately getting the push, even though a lot of people would say he didn't deserve it at the time. Then we go to another in the series of matches, Ron Simmons and Barry Windham. Simmons and Windham, two heavy baby faces at the time. Simmons going into a match with none other than Lex Luger within a couple of weeks at the Halloween Havoc, about 6 weeks away at this point. Rip Rogers and Jim Boss as the opponents for Simmons and Wyndham at the time. Wyndham, of course, less than 2 months before was in line for the World Championship, although Lex Luger winning it at the time. Interesting that when you look back at Luger's championship reign, which they've been building since about 1987 when he came into the NWA, so I mean, really kind of a 4-year build, only running about a little less than a year. Luger winning the champ, actually a little more than 6 months, 8 months, something like that. Luger winning the championship. So just interesting that all that build went into what ended up being a rather lackluster deal there. Barry Windham still agile enough in this match anyway to get a drop kick off and gut wrench suplex. Windham still pretty aggressive, assertive here, and managing to get things going in his general direction here. Lex Luger out next. Lex Luger is your WCW champion. Interview with none other than Harley Race and Mr. Hughes, the bodyguard. Race basically says no one, including Ron Simmons or others, should be thinking about challenging him. And then we go into a Enforcers match from a previous program. Enforcers, of course, Arn Anderson and Larry Zbyszko. They are going at it with Bill Kazmaier and Rick Steiner. That had been a makeshift team since Scott was out with, I believe, a tricep injury here. Of course, Rick Steiner still a major force in the tag team division at the time, so a chance for Anderson and Zbyszko to get a tag team win here over a Steiner, and also set up the eventual run with them two, the Steiners and Zbyszko and Anderson, when Scott Steiner returns. Kazmaier getting a bit of a rub here from being in there with Anderson and Zbyszko. They bump around for him like $1 million. Larry Zbyszko certainly probably not wanting to be in the clutches of his adversary there. Then there's a highlight from a house show match there, and Steve Austin out there kind of mocking various people, Austin and Sting, or actually Austin with Lady Blossom there, and facing off against Sting. I believe it's the Omni where this all takes place. Basic deal, including an attempted tombstone piledriver. Sting not willing to take a backward step, of course, trying to get the television championship over at a higher degree. Doesn't necessarily go along that way, but Sting still probably the top babyface at the time here in 1991, after Luger's heel turn, certainly. And so, just interesting. Lady Blossom going at it with Sting a little bit verbally. Austin gets a roll up. I think this is an Omni deal, and Steve Austin getting rolled up by Sting as well. And then there's a bit of a run there. Sting getting a victory over Steve Austin in what I believe ended up being a non-title affair. Cactus Jack out next. Cactus Jack pummeling Sting in a video package, and Cactus and promises to be the one to eradicate Sting, wondering why Sting has to hide himself. This is a video package from the Clash of the Champions. Abdullah the Butcher, the Man in the Box, and basically Cactus wondering why Sting had to hide himself. Actually, Sting is the one that busts out of this box and starts the brawl with Cactus from that Clash of the Champions. The Man Tom Zink out next. Zink, of course, pretty big babyface at the time. A lot of people undervalue after he left the WWF what ended up being his run in WCW. I did not realize it went all the way from then to, let's say 89 or so through 1993. Interesting that Zink would have a forgotten run. Cactus Jack and Tom Zink. Not a bad match here. Cactus kind of fighting back and also trying to get himself ready to be a top guy. Zink takes Cactus down, gets a couple arm bars, basic stuff along the way, and it's kind of there. And they brawl on the floor a little bit. Cactus is not willing to undervalue himself too much, but Cactus gets back in. Zink spends the majority of the match working an armbar, which against Cactus Jack, not quite sure where that comes from, but anyway, tie up both men and Cactus forcing Zink to carry his weight in a modified camel clutch. Cactus goes out to the brawl on the outside. Cactus also is willing to throw himself at Tom Zink from the second rope on the outside. Referee losing control of the match, although the referee doesn't seem to care all that much. Cactus with a second rope on the outside elbow, nailing Tom Zink right in the back, and needless to say, Cactus is a real, I guess you'd say, victorious in the long run, and then they kind of continue the brawl anyway. So we then go to the next in series of matches, and ultimately next in series of brawls. We see Lex Luger taking out Barry Windham from a previous show, and we see Ron Simmons making the save for Windham. That kind of begins to set up the and highlights from the clash. Kind of begins to set up the issues as it relates to not only Luger and Windham continuing a little bit after their championship run, but also Luger and Simmons going into 1991 at the time, the Halloween Havoc show. Basically, Simmons and Windham talk about being good friends. Simmons talks about wanting to eradicate Lex Luger once and for all. There also is a mini Harley Race promo where he says no one is at the level of his adversaries. Then we go to a tag team match here. Thomas Rich and the Tailor-Made Man, Terry Taylor, members of the York Foundation, facing off against the Fabulous Freebirds. Not a bad match to be had here. Worth checking out if you're into old school tag team psychology. Match goes round a bit. You could easily say that the wonder of Fantasia here, also Ricky Morton, part of that six-man tag team match. Fantasia and the Freebirds against Richard Morton, Thomas Rich, and Terry Taylor. Six-man tag just to kind of fill some time. Nothing wrong with that, although it's kind of just here. Match is worth going out of your way to see if you like any of the guys in the contest. Of course, Bad Street is Brad Armstrong in a graffiti tie-dyed sort of situation there, and ultimately kind of get a couple of shots here. Wonder that is Thomas Rich continuing his run, and again, we kind of get a breakdown there. The York Foundation still in recent enough or strong enough control to manage to get the modified victory here, and manages to do what they can where they can. Bad Street comes over, makes the pinfall attempt. Morton off the top rope, and referee calls for the disqualification, and that will close this particular edition of the program. Ultimately, super simple and continuation of WCW here in 1991. We'll be back with more right after this.